Hi everyone, welcome to the 41st webinar in 12D's training webinar series. My name is Lisa Stewart and I'm the Marketing and Communications Coordinator at 12D Solutions. 12D's training webinars showcase common industry challenges, taking a close look at industry best practices and how these can be implemented using 12D products. The aim of these webinars is to upskill 12D users and broaden their understanding of the capabilities of 12D products. We run these webinars regularly and record them for posting through our website and on YouTube. The first 40 webinars from this training series, as well as the 36 webinars from our Industry Solutions series, are available on our YouTube channels if you missed those. During this live presentation, you'll be able to type your questions along the way, as shown on the screen, and we'll answer as many as possible throughout the webinar. At the end, I'll also read out some of your questions to the presenter for his insights if there's time. Today's webinar, 12D Field Setout, Drainage and Other Options, will be presented by Graham Worth, who is Product Sales and Marketing Manager for 12D Field, with responsibility for management, development and channel creation of 12D Field services and products. Graham has over 35 years of experience in the civil construction industry and a wealth of knowledge of 12D model and other software packages. In today's webinar, we'll review the 12D Field Setout, Drainage Setout, using the drainage design data produced in 12D model. Using this option, surveyors have at their fingertips all the relevant drainage design setout and construction data. Additionally, we will further explore the many customizable options offered within 12D Field Setout's panels, and options to standardize to your individual or company-wide systems. Over to you, Graham.
Thanks, Lisa. Let me just pull up this screen here and minimise a few things. Good afternoon, everyone. Today, yes, I'm just going to have a look at a few of the newer features. I may have spoken of them in previous webinars, or they may have, but I apologise for those who have seen these before. But there's some nice new features that are running with 12D model, particularly focused on the management of surveyors using tablets. One of the first of these is the screen layout functionality. With this one, this is the, I've just brought up this panel. It's the just next to the plan view favourites on each individual view, as you can see there. And the purpose of these is to actually, rather than try and grab a screen or a view and move it around, it gives the user the ability to just manage it by click of one button, or in the case of this lower area here, we can actually expand or contract. And here I've got it on expand, and I can click this down and bring that screen back down, or I can do the entire bottom of the view, or I can actually go to everything on the left of the view. And that goes for all individual screens, and you can actually manage those from within single taps, or using your pen or finger to actually increase and decrease the size. So that's a new feature that's in there. The other feature for tablet users is the size. You can see up here the size of the main menu bar. It's been increased dramatically. So have the icons and the toolbars in both the view and the main menus. And that is managed through the environment file. Again, we call up the management 4D environment.4D file. And then underneath the GUI tab in this area, you have a sizing. You can see here from this menu above, I've changed the second one down, which is the main menu font scaling. to 175. That actually changes the size of these. The one up the very top, I must warn people to be very careful of that. It actually changes, it says the main menu font size. So if you put a scaling percentage into that top one, you would end up seeing probably the P from project on the screen and nothing else. So just be very careful of that. It is a font size. But the next one down, main menu font scaling, I've got it set at 175% of normal size. And it brings it up to a size that's very easy for a person to use their finger to manage. The next one down is the toolbar scaling. It's a percentage as well, and that's for all these toolbars. I've set that at 200. And the third one down is the view button scaling, and that's these buttons in each individual view, and it allows you to pick a size that is much more suitable for fingers. Other ones in there is the panel text scaling, so you can actually increase the panel sizes. The panel title scaling, so you can actually just do the text in the panel, or excuse me, the title as well. And the last is the input box browse scaling as well. So that's that, and obviously you write that away to your current folder, your user folder, or another folder that you choose, and finish that and restart the project by going project restart, and that will fire up the new sizes for your scaling. Very handy for the tablet users out there. So again, that's the adjusting the plan views and the section views and all your different views using the sizing buttons there, and the also the environment file for changing your panel size. There's a couple of the different things in there. So we're just looking at some drainage today. Here I've got most surveyors, when they get to a site to do the drainage, there's very little in as far as information to give you a position in the paddock. Obviously drainage and sewer is first. The one thing with the drainage, when it comes in, each string is aligned, and this is for drainage produced within 12D model. You can see I've just clicked down here and we've got that full sewer line, sewer, and we've got that as a drainage type. You can actually manage that. I've actually changed the stormwater drainage here, shown in yellow, to increase its brightness. Red is a very difficult colour to see on tablet screens out in the field, and also probably in this webinar it's difficult as well. So you can just hit the editor and you can pick and edit the drainage strings, and that gives you the full drainage editor to allow you to manage that. So you can bring up different edits and types and change things and manage them as well with the drainage version of 12D. So I'll just finish that for the moment. We'll leave the sewer unchanged. But what I've done with this one, as you can see here, when I zoom right in, we have a pit name on this sewer manhole. Very difficult to see. But what I've done is I've actually increased the text and the lines for the drainage lines. So this is pit 3 on drainage line 3, and drainage line 3 pit 4, and so forth, and drainage line 7 pit 1 down in this area here as well. So this allows you to bring it into a size that would be suitable to read in the field. And it's an important fact that with 12D field that you can have everything turned on and have quite a crowded screen, where you can actually turn things off and see what you just want to see, rather than everything that's available. So I'm just going to start Setout here. I'll be using today a TPS Simulator, which is always difficult because you've got to actually position the instrument when you start up and so forth. So it manages to do it reasonably well, and it allows us to utilise a total station simulation for setting out. So one of the things that I was just mentioning is that when you usually are doing the drainage, or even the sewer, which is lower than the drainage, quite often there's very little in the paddock. One of the nice features with the navigation side of 12D Field within the life cycle of version 12 is that we've actually put in the ability to navigate to a feature. So in this case, I've just turned a tree on there. It's a lone tree paddock, and allows you to see that. So if I go into the settings menu, your normal under your navigation, you've got the ability for your orientation, for your navigation, to be under quite a number of different things, and one that's been added to it is to a user point. And this is very handy when there's very little information or road alignments to see, or existing surfaces. So you've got the centre line from the total station to the total station, to the north, and to the user point is the new option in there. Also very handy with the GPS side of things. So in the user point, you've got down here the user point, and that can be just picked off the screen. And here I've just picked that tree there, so that when I'm actually setting out, that'll allow us to navigate towards that tree from where we're setting up. Okay, so what I'll do now is I'll just have a look at the drainage side of things, and if you look at the menu, I've got most of the menu up here on 12D Field. It's quite long, and for those with a low pixel size screen, quite often that'll extend down a little bit too far. So what you can actually do with the settings, and I have mentioned this in the past, is with the general GUI under the menus, you've got the ability to split the menus options in here to allow you and finish that, so that when I actually pull up the menus, it's much shorter and allows you to manage those. But I'll just leave it for my purposes here under the full size by clicking that tick box off there. You can also turn off things that you would never or very rarely use, and put them on when you feel like it. So the full menu is user definable. As with most options in 12D, it is a very user definable program. So getting back to our positioning of the definition of where to go to a set out point. If I go to the to position the TPS, and I might just put it in a position, and what I'll do is before I do that, I'll turn on the road alignments. So we've got the road alignments. So there I've turned on the road alignments, and we'll position ourselves somewhere on that road alignment near the pit. So the instrument will turn around to there. We can finish that panel there now, and then bring up the 12D Field drainage Setout. Now, it has to be made very clear at this point that this is purely for drainage that has been designed and put into a model using 12D Models Drainage Package. Again, you can do the obvious with most sections, and I'll just jump into here as well, and I'll just bring this back over to that area there, so it's out of the way. You can also, at any time, pick different strings and have a look at those, and you can actually see those in a full section view, so that as you're running along, you can see where you're at and what pits are. You can see the information coming in. So here under the pit setout, obviously it has the option here to select a pit. So I'll just zoom into this area here, and we've got this. So I'll select this pit 3 on line 3. And you can see there the white crosses come up on there. Under the navigation, you've obviously got your navigation in your panel there. And if you call up the Pipes tab, it will, and hit the next button, it will, you can see now that it's actually highlighted line 3 from pit 3 to pit 4, and all the details for that drainage line to be placed. It's always running downstream to upstream, so your grade will be positive, and you've got pipe rises in the pit, and your pipe lengths and the pipe diameter. So rather than carry out a set of drawings with the information, you have all that information on there. You can actually go to the next, and you'll see it's highlighted the next pipeline from pit 3 to pit 6, with the grades, the pipe rise within the pit, and the pipe length as well. And if I hit the next button, it'll show the next pipeline in that sequence of those. So it actually allows you to view the entire details you require to actually mark up your pegs and your offset pegs and so forth within the 12D drainage setout package. The drainage line and the setout can be related to a control string and to a reference string if you wish. Now the purpose of the relating to an alignment, this could be the control string could be the face of a curb, it could be the centre line, and the purpose of that is the offset tab here. So it allows you to click on that tab, and it's actually at the point of the pit, it's actually calculated the instantaneous tangential bearing. So in most cases when surveyors have been setting out pits, they put in 2 pegs that are 2 metre offsets in a line, so that the excavator can, or the operator or the drainage personnel can come along, dig the pit out and place the pit box in, and then allow you to line it up. Particularly in the case of subdivisions where you're aligning it to the lintel in a curb and gutter situation, or in a graded drain where you're aligning to the drainage line for a square pit. In this case, we've got circular manholes, so it's not really relevant, but we'll show it anyway. And you've got here an offset distance of 0. If I type in there 2, and I want to do a 2 metre offset to the left, you can see that the white cross now has actually moved perpendicular to the alignment, which I've just go back to the strings here, to this alignment here, 2 metres perpendicular off the centre line of that pit. And if I go back to offsets, and I can actually now put that as 2 metres to the right, so we can actually line up 2 pegs, and you can also go forward along the line of that perpendicular to the change, or back from that as well. Now you're not required to actually set that direction relative to the alignment. You can type in your own individual item within that as well. So that's a little overview of the drainage setout. And again, it is working with 12D field drainage. So you've got your strings tab, picking this pit. It's nominating the pit in that area. You have your control string alignment if you wish, and your reference string. And obviously you can put additional comments or attribute information on that for storage at a later date when you store the point. You've got the pipe details. So in here, if I go to the next, it's showing pit 3 to 4 on line 3, and all the details for your grades, rise, lengths, diameters and so forth, and it'll scroll through your individuals. The same works for if I go back to the strings and pick the sewer manhole here and pick that, you can actually see that that's also been designed in 12D, and I can actually go to the pipes there and hit the next button, and you can see it's actually highlighted that red string. It's probably be a little hard to see, and gives all the details for the pipe diameters and so forth in that area as well. So you've got all the upstream information. For the downstream from that pit, obviously you have to go to the next pit down. So it's a little bit of an overview of drainage setout. What I'd actually like to quickly run through now is also, we've done the settings. I'm just going to duck into another project and bring up, actually, wrong one, bear with me. Bring up this here, and I'm actually going to go and bring in an import through the Express Reader, a IFC file. And this is something that's becoming more and more prevalent within the surveying industry, the use of BIM models, and IFC is the, I'm just going to run this as a prefix on there for that, and we've got the ability to read that in now in version 12, and there's obviously more features coming in the future with version 14. So that's quite a large file, and we're reading that in now. You can see here I've got the usual thinking blue circle with Windows, which is always a concern with Windows 10, but in this case I'm pretty confident we'll be up and running very shortly. File read, finish. So let's have a look at some of that. I'll just put everything on in the, I've got a plan view here on the right, and I can actually go to this point here. With the tablet, I can go full screen with that, which is a very nice feature to actually run, or go back to that half view as well. Just reiterating that, what I was showing before, the full screen. Now if I go to the full screen and add on here all of these models, so this is now actually running in to a lot of information that's coming on that BIM file. It's quite crowded, and as with most IFCs and BIMs, they come in as tri-meshes. So I've got that, and I'll just put that back to the left-hand side. And let's have a look at it in a more interesting way. So if I just put it into the perspective view, and I'll start with the footings. So we've got the footings showing up there. They've come in as a solid. It's quite difficult to actually select items on a solid, because it's hard to see where they are. So if I actually just turn on some of the other features in this as well and add that in there, you can see that we've got a full building BIM model in there as well. And I'll just turn off some of these obligatory strange items that designers tend to put in there. And I'll actually get rid of the opening element as well, which we're not interested in the opening. So we can actually see right within to things like the kitchen within that building now. So the management of 12D model using BIM information is quite strong. It's very good. So what I'm going to do is actually I've brought that over to this drainage model plan here, this drainage setout that we've done, and I'm just going to bring that footing back again to show how we can actually manage some of the setting out within that as well. So if I turn on here the footing that we saw, you can see here in the plan view it's a series of tri-meshes, and if we go to the perspective view here, and I'll just go to that perspective view, you can see that's that same image there. So we've got that footing turned on in that perspective view as we saw there before. A little difficult to see the different layers in that, and it's also quite difficult to pick points, in a tri-mesh. So what we have underneath the strings in the tri-mesh is we've got this explode option that allows you to bring the vertices to the forefront within 12D. So I'm actually going to go to that, pick that model there that we've got for that footing. And we've also got the ability to create it as a solid fill string. So still looks similar to what we've got on the perspective view on the right-hand side. But there's this option here called a fill blend, which allows you to actually change the density of the view that you're looking at that information. So you want to be able to see the triangles, particularly when you're picking points, and to be able to have a look at the faces when you're actually. So I'm just going to put in here, instead of a 1, I'm just going to put in here a 1.5 fill blend on that. And we'll output this to, and I'll just copy that into there, paste that. And I'm going to put this in as a fill exploded. And I'm going to explode those strings there now. So that's done that. You can see here, difficult to see, but once I actually bring that in there now and turn that off, and I go back to our footing, you can see here now that it's actually semi-opaque, so you can actually see the shape of the footings in this, and also you can still see the meshes and so forth. So if I minimize this down here again and just turn off from the plan view that straight footing, and I put on instead the one that we've exploded, it gives us the ability to see that in a much better light, so to speak. So I'll just move that over, and we can actually now pick points on that as well. So I'll just run through that again. It's if I go to strings under the tri-mesh, explode, and we actually pick that same footing model again, we brought in from that IFC import. And I'll change this again. We had 0.15 before. I'll do this at 0.25 this time instead of the 1. And I'll do that into here. And I'll go FILL2 this time for 0.25 and explode that. So now if I actually go and turn this off again here, you can actually see quite clearly see the difference there. And I'll turn on a little bit denser explosion of the points. So again, it's increasing in increments of those values so that you can actually see that. And in this case, I can also turn on this model here, so it's a little bit brighter on that side of things in the plan view, and it allows you to actually. And I'll turn off that other one and just refresh that. So I've got that view in there. What you can do with 12D Field now is that using your CAD packages and creating things, you can actually, and I've got it here, some setup here where I've got the setout done as well. So I've got some points that I've just joined in magenta there. And we can see these also if I turn these on in the perspective view. You can see there I've got the tops and the bottoms of the footing. So they can be joined up with the use of the CAD strings. And then we can actually proceed to set those out. And so if I just minimise this a little bit. The other thing, while I'm here too, you've also got the drainage setout that we were talking about before. Again, it's quite a clear package to use in the field if you've got things turned off. But you can also combine. I've actually got in here quite a lot of the original designer's strings, and I've just put them into various larger simple colours to allow us to see those as an overview, to position ourselves when we get to that point, and the boundary lines as well. So this building's sitting in that area there. But if I wanted to actually run through and to set these points out, and I'll just minimise this down, and we've got the navigation, and I'll do bring the pickup. So you've got the pickup here. I've got the strings turned on, I think, in this for the things. I've got the footing that we've the original footing that we brought in from the IFC as a solid. So in this area here, and I'll just pan down to this footing. Once you've exploded the points in the tri-mesh, you can obviously turn on such things as your Z values, which also aid you to picking different points for creating your strings as well in that situation. So here I'm just going to position the instrument. So I'll just come over here and we'll put the instrument, because I am using a simulator here, and I'm just going to pick this edge here. It's the edge of the footing, and I'm looking at the level of 25, so I'll just go back up to the 25.2. Let's have a look at the 26.2. That's actually the top level that we're looking at there. These are a metre. This rib in the footings here is a metre high. And I'll just now pick let's do a single string setout again, and we can actually go into this strings. I've got that footing set out, which is the magenta string as our set out and control string. I'm using a 0 offset, and we can actually set that out, and I'm using chainage 1. So if I change that to, we're up to about chainage 3 there, pick chainage 3, you can see we've got our little cross here showing that set out. I've got an chainage increment of 1, so I can go chainage plus and bring that up towards the instrument's pole position there. And we can also, excuse me, take a measurement there at this point. I've got a pole height of 1.3, that's correct. And then you can actually see here on your footings, you've got the position that you're measuring to and you're setting out. And I've got to go to my set out point, which is a ½ metre offset, left ½ metre, here you can see here, and I'm sitting on that point there. So that allows you to run. And here I'm actually utilising that tree, I think I am in that case. Under my settings, I'll just switch back to this. So we've got our survey GUI, and under the navigation box I'm using the user point, yes, which is probably not the best orientation, a tree for setting out the footings. So I want to actually go back to the centre line and finish that, take another measurement, and that now actually will finish that and start her up again. Just to refresh it, single string setout, and take another measurement there as well. And that allows us to fully view the information. So that's a little update. I'd love people to actually request some others into the future by either contacting me directly or going through our website or forum, because we are producing videos here to assist you, the users, throughout the surveying and engineering world. But that is a little exercise on how to use our 12D drainage setout, and also how to do some of the simpler things with the setting up of IFC BIM imports. Obviously the development of these BIM imports is very ongoing, and there's some really exciting things coming in version 14. If you come along to our conference, I'm sure you'll get a very, very valued information and feedback, and also meeting up with colleagues and so forth at our upcoming conference. So I'll just switch it back now to Lisa, and thank you for your time today.
Thanks, Graham. We've also got some great in-person training courses coming up in Brisbane, Melbourne and Perth. We'll pop some details of those up on the screen. There's more available on our website as well. And you can register for those through that training page there, or just email. And don't forget, our 12D Technical Forum that Graham just mentioned is on in Brisbane this July with the associated Innovation Awards. The closing date for those is the 30th of April. So if you enter now, you have a great shot at an amazing prize. The recording of today's webinar will be available in coming days through our website and our YouTube channels. Our next two training webinars are Directional Curb Ramps on the 16th of May and Implementing 12D Synergy for Your Business on the 17th of May. So feel free to sign up for those and many more through our website. We'll keep you posted on all of that through email and social media if you're subscribed. And if you need to contact us in the meantime, we'll pop some details up on the screen. That concludes our presentation for today. Thank you all for attending, and we hope to see you at future webinars.